Captain, what do we do? We're losing.
We will be more effective sailing to the J line.
Captain, what do we do? Oh, we're losing.
We will be more effective sailing to the J line.
Hey team, this is Ripper. Hope you guys are doing fantastic today. Got a fun discussion video, and not particularly focused on any kind of ship today, but really, this is a very unique match that I saw that was really smoothly done, and it's a 5-minute game, and it's kind of frustrating, and I'm kind of curious as to see how this turns out. We'll kind of analyze it and see what's causing the problem of games like this, and I get a lot of them. But as always, before we begin, like, subscribe, button below. Appreciate all the supporters of the channel. Smash the buttons, leave a comment. Thanks for stopping by, and hope you enjoy the show. All right, so this map, it's Land of Fire. Everybody's played this map before. Now, the reason why I keep it just playing naturally, because this game literally will last only 5 minutes. I mean, literally 1 minute is just sailing to an objective. So that means the game will be over in 4 minutes. Now, if you knew the game was going to be over in 4 minutes, how would you play different? Would you play differently? Would you position differently? And I'm kind of curious to see we're going to analyze this, watch the mini-map a lot. We even do a breakdown video and kind of analyze what is going on. Is it positioning? Is it, and I'm trying to title this video to thinking, is it the Battleship player that's causing a lot of the problems? Because guess what? You've probably been in a game as a destroyer. I'm a DD main. You probably had a game where you have the battleships are always complaining and say there's no spotting. So therefore his ship is so reliant on my gameplay style that's the game right there. So I never realized how important I am in the game, that it affects other people's play style. Isn't that funny? Even though battleships don't affect my play style. The other one is they always say you're not capping, you're not spotting, you're not killing, you're not doing anything. So it's always the destroyer player's fault. So let's take a look at the battleship players. What is causing them not to be performing as, I would say efficiently and effectively as they would like to be. Also, we'll also analyze, maybe cruiser players. Maybe it's the cruiser player that's causing the problem, or is it primarily always the destroyer player? So that's kind of like why I like playing destroyer players, because people complain so much that the destroyer player's not doing anything. So it's like, well, let me take it to the enemy then. Let me be the destroyer player and see if I can change the outcome of the game. And that's not necessarily always the true case. So let's take a look here. Pause the video right here. Look at initial positioning. So it looks kind of normal, right? Everything is going smoothly. Nothing's too crazy. As you can see, one destroyer, Shimakaze, is going to alpha, which I don't like Shimakaze, destroyers or players overall in general, because why? I don't know what kind of play style they play or what kind of utility they bring. He's going to go straight into a cap, not knowing if there's hydro radar or whatever in a gunboat. And he's a destroyer, the torpedo boat. The other one is the Barbiano. Going into Bravo cap, okay, ballsy, but he has no radar hydro support, and if he smokes up, he's basically screwed because he doesn't know what threat is going to be there. I always look at, hey, what are the threats? Okay, that's the first thing you should do as a destroyer player. Me going into Charlie cap, I'm going slow and kind of supporting my Shimakaze player. Again, another Shimakaze player. Trying to support. He can outspot everybody, so that's a good thing for me. So I can get first dibs on shooting whatever is going to be in Charlie cap. The other aspect is, look at the battleship players. Now, I get it, they're slow, but what is the game doing to allow this to happen? Remember, the game will be over in 3 minutes. Do you think these ships are going to be able to do anything in 3 minutes? That is my concern, and maybe Wargaming needs to look at this is to see as maybe they need to change the meta or the playstyle, because with the advent of extra, broken ships, like you said, people are talking about, it's the Hawaii, it's the Bremen, it's all these destroyers that can gunboat down, battleships. So I don't know. Let's take a look at it. I'm just asking the questions here, bringing up discussion. So let's see how this plays out. We have the initial destroyer in actions here. Okay, we're going in there. We're doing what we're supposed to do. Don't worry about me. I'm not really doing much either. But, I mean, I'm going to support my Shimakaze player. But look at what is going on at Bravo cap and an Alpha. Okay, so we have the Barbiano, who is, questionable attacking and rushing and elbing, which they only have sap, right? So we'll take a look at that. So he's got sap going. He's probably fine. But the problem is, look, another good thing, I always say, look, you're going to have to hit tab and look at your threats. I always hit Aslane mod, and I look at how many radars the other enemy team has. We have 1, 8.5, right? Look at their team. They have 1, 2, 3 radars. Minotaur, Hawaii, and Brisbane. Brisbane has a 12-kilometer radar. So if you look, the Brisbane here will literally cover the entire Bravo cap and help Elbing spot the Barbiano. Barbiano's smoke is pretty much useless because if he gets perma-radared, he will be gunned down and he's stuck in his smoke. And that is a problem, right? Look, the Jinan's hiding behind an island, not going to be able to support there. And let's look at this position again. Libertad at least is pushing forward with Gutenlau and Shimakaze. Great, right? Let's see how that plays out. Barbiano's in the middle here, and then Shimakaze's hiding behind an island, not spotting or doing anything for me right there. And Hawaii's going to rush another Hawaii. Okay, so that's kind of balanced over there on the east. Let's look at the west. So how is this going to play out? Brisbane radar went down on Barbiano, but I believe Barbiano gets nailed by the bungo right there. I don't have no idea where that bungo came from. So he just blasted somebody. Okay, we'll give him that. Battleship player did a good job over there. Look at my team. All right, let's pause. Literally, the game is over in 3 minutes. Slava is in the back here. Montana's in the back here. Aki's in the back. Colombo's in the back. Okay, 4 Battleship players that have the chunk of our firepower and armor are all in the back, not doing anything. At least the Libertad had the balls to actually move up and support somewhat of a team gameplay. Unfortunately, his destroyer is running away. See, again, Shimakaze player. Look at this. Look at the Shimakaze players running away to in reverse, and not really. What can they do? They can't. They don't have the guns. They don't have the torpedoes really doing anything because they're behind islands, and they're running away, and they're probably smoked up. So they're not spotted, so that means they're probably either running away or smoked up. Minotaur over here. I don't know if it's a radar Mino, whatnot. Again, I'm sitting here doing my job as a destroyer player. I'm capping, right? But let's look at the other players here. Minotaur is Libertad is actually going to rush a Minotaur, which actually I would agree. That's what you probably should do, but he dies. Okay. Libertad literally goes down against a... and then also Gutenlau goes down from another bungo shot. I have no idea where this bungo's at. Literally sitting and hiding in the back, sniping, right? The 2 ships are already dead at Alpha. That's lost. Hawaii is now done because he exposed himself too much because Colombo's behind this island here. What is he doing? Aki, I don't know what you're doing back here. Montana's trying to rush forward, but remember, the game is over in a minute and a half, so how far can a Montana really go forward and do anything? Slava's still in the back here, and they're probably complaining, why is the Shimakaze not spotting, torping, doing anything like that useful, right? Well, because, if you're going to sit in the back, I think that your guns are not able to do so much effectiveness to support any kind of movement up front here. Look, I did my job. I capped Charlie. Yay. But look, their destroyers now recapping it immediately, where I have no radar, nothing to support me. Because if I reveal myself, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 ships fire at me, and I'm gone, and we'll get them dead. Colombo's still hiding in the back. Aki running away. Montana trying to push forward. Slava hiding behind an island. A battleship hiding behind an island. That's a very good one. Classic right there. So, again, is the battleship the problem here? Because the battleship just is not able to provide the player with enough confidence support to move forward, do something in the game to provide any kind of extra help. The cruiser players are always kind of a hit or miss. I don't know what kind of cruisers are out there. There's so many. There's the variety of the gamut, but those things can be deleted easily. So I don't really blame the cruiser player because they're just not as effective. Besides the Hawaii and the Bremen these days that are just HE spammers. I mean, look, Hawaii is really just going to spam from the back here. Our Hawaii already died trying to move forward. So is that the gameplay that people want? I don't know. Okay, game is going to be over in literally the next 20 to 30 seconds here. So at least Montana tried to push up, but he's dead. Okay, so Montana died to an Ohio. YKO, I actually play with them, pretty good team. All right, so now look where the game's going. Next kill literally ends the game. So they've already capped all 3 points, even though all I did was capture 1 point. I did my job, right? But I don't kill anybody. I literally do 0 damage. Look at my damage marker here. I literally do 0 damage. And what more can I do? So I'm trying to reposition to try to aid my team in some form or fashion, reposition. However, the game, the way it's designed, literally ends with the next kill here, which, look at this. Hayate is chasing down a battleship, and there goes Janan, and the Elbing just nukes the Janan, because why? An Elbing is a great ship. I'll do a review on that one again. It basically has, like, cruiser caliber guns on a destroyer hull, but just deletes, and the game is over. Look at that. Look at that. So the game literally ended. I'll show you the timestamp on this. The game ended at the 5-minute mark. I was like, wow, kudos to the enemy team, because that was the smoothest execution of a 5-minute game I've ever seen. And to prove that it's a 5-minute game, here's a recording. 5 minutes and 1 second. Okay, we'll give him that second. 5-minute game. So what really happened right there that caused that problem? And look, my battleship players are the heavy hitters are kind of still, we're the last ones alive, really. Montana was alive until he died at the end there, but he was the one that was in the game the most. Colombo, again, what were you doing? Libertad actually tried to, push, that, something I would have applauded. Unfortunately, the way they play, again, that could be the problem too. Most players try to pick the battleship player right off the bat, thinking like, oh, battleship, big ship, I know what to do with it. Unfortunately, they don't know how to use it. and it ends the game that way. So is the battleship player really the problem here? Is the battleship the problem? Not the player itself, but just the battleship itself, which leads to the player, which leads to the problem of, is this, what is causing all the problems, the blowouts, the issues? Because I don't know if it's really the destroyer player, because if it is the destroyer player, because we provide all the spotting, the torping, the capping, and so forth, then, if the destroyer player is unable to do that, who is supporting that destroyer player? That's my argument. I'm just like, well, yeah, the destroyer player can only do so much with only so much HP, especially Shimakaze players. Okay, I'll give you that one. Shimakaze players, really questionable what futility and utility they can do. They're strictly like a torpedo ship. They play it like it. Their guns, nobody really fires them. So I don't know. Maybe this is a discussion for YouTube out there. Let me know. We'll take a look. Let's see if this actually works. We'll take a look at the replay overlook, and let's see how it goes. Okay, so we have the, this actually works pretty well here. We've got the minimap renderer, which is pretty awesome tool. I love using this thing. But let's take a look at this and see how it works here. So let me see, my mouse works there. All right, so we're going to play this again at normal speed here. As you can see, Druid player, me going forward. We already talked about initial positioning right here. Barbiano immediately gets engaged. Brisbane's going to radar. That's a problem right there. My Hawaii uses radar for ungodly know what reason here. Way too far out. Know your ship. That's why you got to know your ship. 8.5 kilometer radar is not going to do anything. So he's radared right off. I'm sorry. Barbiano's radar immediately nuked right there from Bungo. Right there. You see the first kill right there? All right. Now, at least we talked about the Libertad pushing forward. However, Shimakaze player running out should have probably done a better job going out to the west here. This spot. And then, let's see here. He gets, the Libertad gear here gets nuked. By the torpedoes. Minotaur Guten Lao also gets nuked again by Bungo. I have no idea where that Bungo is the whole time. Shot from somewhere. And then, of course, let's see, Marceau gets taken out, or takes out the Hawaii, which is really interesting. But he probably had help from another Hawaii right here. And right here, just look at initial positioning right here. I have no idea if the battleship player in the back here is really what's the key component of failure, the root cause of failure right here. The cruiser players are also another root cause where not sure really a Hawaii radaring early and then getting himself killed right here. Janan sitting in the back of an island, not sure what that's supposed to do. Guten Lao again back here. So the other aspect of my questioning is if it truly is the battleship player, then I have to say that the battleships over here were doing their job correctly while the battleships over here were not. So that could be also the issue right there. And you could see battleship player now moving forward. Also a problem with the battleship player is not being able to utilize the guns correctly or quickly enough in an effective and efficient manner. Destroyers were still alive, but again, someone's going to say, well, the destroyer players weren't doing their job. Can you blame them? First, they picked the Shimakaze to do the capping role, which is I'd really disagree with. And then, of course, you also have the battleship players because they don't have the spotting and I guess you could screening or whatnot from these destroyer players. Then does that mean that these battleships are now rendered useless because they're not utilizing their ship correctly? So that could be the other argument. And there it goes. And the game ends in 5 minutes. That is incredible. Let's replay it again. Like, what are we going to see? What do we see here that is developing? Notice, again, first 3 minutes is the battleship literally just moving forward. So that alone right there could be a problem. That's why I like Unbreakable Line or something close where you start in close and just right off the bat, you're already engaged in action. So I don't know if that's the issue. Wargaming needs to look at it. Maybe the meta doesn't support this type of gameplay or role anymore. So maybe that's an issue, right? So is that the cause? Let's see here. Is the destroyer player? Well, this destroyer player already made a poor selection. We'll give that. That's a poor play by destroyer player. And let's see here. Again, battleships are not moving forward. Biggest thing, again, the problem I see is the fact that, there's the Bungo. Finally see him. The biggest problem that the battleships always say is, you're not spotting for me. You're not doing anything for me. The battleship player is so needy in saying, like, I need this, I need that, I need that. I don't see a destroyer player actually asking for any of that help. All I ask is, hey, can you support me just in any way, shape, or form, right? But, I digress. I'm not really sure. So, based on what you guys are seeing here, what is the cause of these, blow-up matches, one-sided matches? Is it the battleship player? Is it the cruiser player? If it was the destroyer player all the time, yes, the Shimakaze player, then that means that the battleship player is so heavily reliant on the destroyer that is that's why? Because if you have a ship so heavily reliant on a destroyer player or another player that you don't even see or communicate with, does that mean the ship is that flawed? You know, is the battleship player so flawed because it relies so heavily on another ship to play, and its gun turrets or traverse is slow, its firepower is weak, it's slow reloads? Maybe that is the reason. Maybe I'm bringing up that discussion because just like, why would the Slava player play back here? Or why is the Aki back here? Is it because it needs a destroyer player out front to do anything? Or is that just the play style that it plays? Thereby, again, going back to the idea, is the Battleship the weakest link now? Kind of curious bringing up that question. I'm not sure. What do you guys think? At least as Battleship player moved forward, unfortunately, it was a little too late. The Ohio, Montana came forward to counter or face 1, 2, 3, 4 battleships in the middle. That's just positioning at that point. That's just sheer raw, firepower. I'll give them that. The enemy team did exactly what they were supposed to do. Again, did that lead because the battleship players just were not able to position? Were they a wrong kind of ship to bring into the battle? Was this Montana supposed to have support from a Slav and Aki, or is Aki playing too much like an aircraft carrier? Colombo sitting and hiding behind an island here. Are they afraid they're going to lose their ship? I don't know. It just brings up a really good question and kind of brainstorming here as to why these kind of matches play out. Again, I'm getting a lot more of these, and I did everything I could as a destroyer. I went in there, I capped, and then I repositioned, and then the game's already over in 5 minutes. So I could only position so much, right? Me destroying this gearing, would that really have had an effect on the game? Like I said, I don't see it. I don't understand. And we're trying to figure out what is causing all this. So we'll take a look at more games as we go down the line and see if the battleship player truly is now the weakest link, the root cause of all these problems now. Like I said, even if the Shimakaze was out there spotting, if the destroyer players were doing their jobs, would this have really changed the match or changed the gameplay? So you guys let me know. I'm kind of curious what people think. I'm just brainstorming, throwing things out there, having fun discussion. And I always like looking at strategies and trying to rethink things and trying to build better systems. So as always, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope we have a great new year today, January 1st, as we're recording this video. And you guys stay safe. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Make sure you say hello to me when you see me out there. Take care. Cheers.